What's up, guys? I'm Bob Tompkins with the Living in SC team at Real Broker, and welcome back to the channel. On today's episode of Living in SC, we're going to be talking about the top 5 reasons why you shouldn't move to South Carolina. Now, I know we talk a lot on this channel about how great South Carolina is, but we wouldn't be forthright with you if we didn't explore some of the reasons that might sway you away from moving here. So we're gonna dive deep into those today. Of course, if you're thinking about making a move to South Carolina, our team would absolutely love to help you with that move. So shoot us a call at the number listed below or an email at info@livinginsc.com, as we would love to connect with you. So without further ado, let's get into those reasons why you may not wanna move here. Coming in at number 1 is the weather. Now, if you've watched some of our videos before, you may think, Bob, this is crazy. You've talked about the weather being one of the best reasons to move here. And it is, if you're trying to avoid colder weather, harsher winters, and you want to get into a warmer climate. However, if you are someone who hates high humidity, or if you don't want to be at risk at some tropical sort of storms, South Carolina might not be the best place for you. Now, of course, those tropical storms, such as hurricanes, the risk of those kind of dies off the further inland you get. But if you want to buy on a coastal city like Hilton Head, Myrtle Beach, or Charleston, you're going to run into an elevated risk of tropical storms. Of course, if you're more in my area, which is the Greenville, Anderson, Spartanburg area, up as you get closer to the mountains, you are going to have a much lower risk of encountering severe tropical storms. That being said, the high humidity is going to exist across the state. Of course, it is a little worse in the coastal areas, but even if you're where I am, high humidity is going to be an issue. So if you don't want to deal with the sticky weather, it may be better to stay in a drier area. Now, my number 2 reason you may not want to move to South Carolina is pretty closely tied to the number 1 reason, and that is mosquitoes. Mosquitoes absolutely love humid weather. They love being in that moist air, that sticky air. So South Carolina has a lot of mosquitoes. Now, of course, it is a little worse towards the coastal areas, but you're not gonna avoid it anywhere in the state, as mosquitoes run rampant throughout South Carolina. Personally, for me, it's not that big of a deal. I grew up in South Carolina. I've been around mosquitoes my entire life. It's not a big deal for me to hit a little bit of bug spray on the way out the door in those hot, humid summer months. And for the most part, I don't really have any problem. However, there are some people, like my mom, who swears her blood is just sweet, because the mosquitoes absolutely eat her up every single year. So if this is something that would bother you or would be a nuisance, maybe South Carolina is not the place for you. Coming in at number 3 on my reasons you may not want to move to South Carolina is our lack of public transportation. Now, South Carolina does have some public transportation as you're in some of our more metropolitan areas. For example, Columbia, Greenville, and Charleston all have some bus systems and some trolley systems that can get you around the city. However, there's not really any good like railroads, train systems, subways, anything like that that's gonna help get you from point A to point B quickly, which can make living in the suburbs and maybe not owning a vehicle not really a possibility. You're going to have to own a car if you want to get from point A to point B here, unless you're living downtown in a condo or a townhouse and you can utilize those bus services. But our lack of public transportation can be a deterrent for people who want to have an easy downtown urban lifestyle, as that's not really something that's afforded in the state, which may be something you'd have to move somewhere else for if you wanted to have a really good public transportation system that allowed you to not own a car and maybe use a subway or a rail line to be able to get to your work every single day. Next, with my 4th reason you may not want to move to South Carolina is our limited job opportunities. Now, we do have a growing economy here in South Carolina, and a lot of industry is moving to the state, but we are still relatively limited in what industries are very prominent here. Now, if you're in a transportation industry, whether that's automotive, aerospace, we do have a lot of opportunities here in South Carolina. In the upstate, we have BMW, we have Michelin, we have a lot of automotive groups and their subsidiary companies that are fantastic for opportunity if you're in the automotive industry. And of course, down near Charleston, we have Boeing. Also in the state, we have Lockheed Martin. So there are the aerospace opportunities if you're in the airline industry and that's where you want to work. Of course, if you work in other industries like banking, Charlotte may be a better option for you. Or if you want to be in the entertainment industry, Atlanta is not that far away. But those are not things that are housed within the state of South Carolina. And if you're looking for significant opportunity in those fields, we may not be the best place for you. Lastly, with my fifth and final reason you may not want to move to South Carolina is our public school system. Now, we're ranked in the lower 10 of the entire country. We normally fluctuate kind of between 42nd and 45th in our public education for our students, and this may be a deterrent for you. Of course, schools are a bit relative, and there are great places that you can find within the state if public schooling is important to you, but it is something that a lot of people are cautious about when looking at South Carolina because we do not rank high on a national average. However, it is something that we are improving on. If you go back just 11, 12 years ago to when I was finishing up my high school education, we used to have a saying in the state that was, "Thank God for Mississippi," because at the time we were ranked 49th in the state. So having moved up 5 or 6 positions may not seem a lot, but it shows a trend in the right direction. And I expect with some of the leadership we have in the state that we should find ourselves even higher in those rankings in the coming years, as education is something that has taken a priority in the state. With all that being said, South Carolina still is a great place to live and a great place to look at moving your family. So if that's something you're looking to do, please do not hesitate to reach out to us at the number listed below or at info@livinginsc.com, as we would love to assist you with that move. Once again, my name's Bob Tompkins with the Living in SC team at Real Broker. Don't forget to watch some of our other videos, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time on Living in South Carolina.